This video continues from the previous video. Okay, so now we've talked about an overview of what the 8 elements are that we're going to be studying and applying. We're now going to look at the principles. And so we're going to take the elements and arrange them using the principles to create harmonious combinations based on Gestalt. Okay, so like the elements, you can go look out there in the internet, and you can see more principles. You can see different terms, and there are others beyond what we're going to cover. However, the ones that we've used for this course are going to be, I thought I had 8. I now have 7. It's really interesting how you're working on something, because I put these PowerPoints together, and at the time I thought I'm coordinating and I got it going, and you walk away from it and you come back and you're like, oh, I made a mistake. So I did say 8 elsewhere and 7 here, and sorry about that. But these are the ones that we're going to cover, and as we move on and beyond the basics, we will begin to add in more. You will hear me talk about others. I will bring them in. You saw in a previous lecture series, one of the PowerPoints, I had listed all the different things that you could do. And there it was under the Gestalt series. And those are additional principles. And we'll talk about those here and there, and some of them we may not talk about at all, but we're going to talk about those throughout the but we're going to focus on these first. Sorry, I was getting ahead of myself there. Okay, so in math you have rules, and you strictly follow those rules or the answer is wrong. This isn't like that. It's science, but it's still somewhat flexible in the sense that they're more like guidelines. And you can break them. I mean, there's some absolutely mind-blowing designs that ignore one or more of the principles of design in order to be catchy and effective. And the poster over here, right? This was a book cover from 2016. And you see it says in white, "The Bed Moved, Stories, Rebecca Schiff." But when you look at that pink text, the first line says THEEB. The second one says DBED. The second one is MOVE, and the last one is OVED. What is that, right? That is following the rules of how we read text. But because it is a design and it works with the concept, the bed moved. So now we're moving letters around in a way that gives us the exact example of what the author is trying to convey. It allows you to feel what that means. The bed moved. Well, the letters moved. And now we have used design. We have broken a principle, and we used it in a way that helped us convey a meaning or a feeling that we couldn't have done without doing it. And so this is a great example of breaking the rules the right way. We break the rules, we break the principles for effect. Okay, so we're going to start with balance. So every element that you place on a page has a weight. It's a visual weight. And that weight can be color, it can be size, it can be texture. I'm trying to think of anything else. Those are the main ones. And just like you wouldn't put all your furniture over in one corner of the room, you don't want to put all your heavy elements on one area of your composition, or it's going to feel unbalanced. And then without balance, those looking at your space, those looking at your drawings are going to feel as if their eye is sliding off the page, or they're going to feel like the room is about to tip over. You're going to make them uncomfortable. And unless that's your goal, which it mostly isn't, Our goal is to actually make them comfortable. You want balance. And so there are different ways of achieving that. One is symmetrical balance, and it creates everything it centers things around a we look at the design, and the left side and the right side are the same, or the top and the bottom are the same, and it creates an even mirrored balance. Asymmetrical design, however, and most of what we're going to do will be asymmetrical. You use multiple elements to balance out a heavy element. And so it creates this sense of visual equilibrium. This one's hard. Symmetrical design is easy. It's pleasing, but it can be boring. And so that's why asymmetrical balance exists. Their designs are bolder, they bring visual interest, and then they bring movement to your composition. And here's an example. On the left, the boxes are balanced. You've got one large object on the left, and then you have two smaller objects on the right that are visually equal. That's balanced. If you take those two objects and you move them down and you put the other one in the corner, we're no longer in balance. It doesn't feel right. And that has to do with how things are arranged. It has to do with how they connect to each other. It has to do with how we put them in the space. And when we get to our more in-depth study of this, I'm going to break it down and show you a lot more with how this works and how you can be conscious and aware of what means what visually, visual weight. I had a conversation with a friend who teaches early childhood education. She has a doctorate in developmental psychology, which is the formative years of when we are from birth to 6. And she said that babies understand physics. And I said, I spent many years studying physics as an architect. No way. And I think we both had a different understanding of physics, right? She had not studied physics the way I had. So I was like, there's no way baby understands physics. But what she meant, and she was right, obviously, is that babies are born with a little bit of an understanding, because they've tested them, about how basic principles of fundamentals of how gravity works, and how if you stack things, they're going to fall over. And it's just an innate understanding. And so there's sort of the same thing that works with this visual balance. You can look at it and know it's balanced just because of your innate understanding of the laws of physics that are part of how we have to navigate our world. And so balance is one way to establish order. It addresses our understanding of the visual weight, and it also helps our designs to look and feel stable. We are able to trust and enjoy them. Everything is in the right place and working together. And this is exceptionally important in architectural design, because they have found that even if a column can structurally support a roof, if it's too skinny, people will not feel comfortable walking under the overhang or wherever it is that it's holding up. The columns have to be visually balanced and visually substantial in order for people to trust them and feel comfortable. And, again, I can't think of an instance where we try to make people feel uncomfortable in architecture. It's not a goal. We want things to be balanced. So this principle is exceptionally important to us. Unbalanced designs are unsettling, and it makes us want to not look at them, makes us want to leave. We have a sense that something isn't right, and then we can't focus. And when we do that to people in their work environment, they're not productive. If we do it to them in their home environment, they're not able to be comfortable. And here are some examples of asymmetrical balance, and then balance using space and balance using shapes. Because again, we're talking about taking elements and balancing those elements. And we'll get into this much more depth, okay? This is just sort of giving you the next level deeper into the discussion. The building on the left is example of asymmetrical balance. The tower is going up and down, but the block to the left that's going out further is helping to keep that shape from feeling like it's tipping over. We basically look at that and realize that block on the bottom is holding and grounding that tower so it doesn't fall over. The building on the right, the Salk Institute, is perfectly symmetrical. And what you're looking at is there's this fountain that the water comes down and it travels through the whole site. And the buildings on this side are the same as the buildings on that side. And if you drew a line right down the center of that trough, everything on the right is exactly the same on the left. And he kept this from being boring by doing this very creative, original thing. And so when you want to do symmetry, the way you stop it from becoming boring is you do something like this. And so balance in architectural design is essential to people feeling comfortable. If it feels unbalanced, they won't want to be there, and we don't want that. Okay, we're going to stop here and continue in the next video.